So let's discuss the hiring process. With an agency, the first thing they need to do is find somebody. An ad, internet, get them to submit an application. They go through a thorough, comprehensive interview process. Second interview, negotiate your pay, your schedule. After you pick that candidate and you find them fit, they go through a background check, drug testing, health screening, check their DMV if they're going to drive. Most importantly, they send an electronic scan of their fingerprints, what they call live scan, to the FBI or the Department of Justice to check if they have a criminal record. If everything works out and this is the perfect candidate, they fill out all the proper paperwork, I-9, W-2, and they go through an intensive training, video training, hands-on, and then a supervisor will check all their skills and make sure that they pass the competency test. And until then, are they allowed to provide service in an individual's home. If you decide to do this independently, this is the kind of comprehensive process you would need to do to ensure that you found the right candidate and that you are not exposed to any kind of abuse that may happen. The hiring process, of course, it just doesn't end there. It continues. The agency has a care manager that comes out to the site and describes and finds out what care this client needs and formulates a care plan and how to meet those needs. Also, there's logbooks for documentation. The supervisor will go out and conduct routine visits to check the client's condition and make sure that the employee is providing the best possible care. And last but not least, if there's any type of scheduling problems, call-ins, conflicts with caregivers, change in schedule, they have a staffing department that will help solve all those issues. So maybe you think up until this point, seems time-consuming, but I think it's something I can handle. Now, let's talk about your liabilities when it comes to taxes and other insurances. I'll tell you a quick story about the IRS. There was a son, and his mother had a stroke. They hired a caregiver to come in. At the beginning, only for a couple hours. The mother's health declined, had another stroke. Asked this caregiver to come in and live in and provide live-in care, 24-hour care. No problems, provided great care, but unfortunately the client passed away. And so this individual found himself without a job, without any means to support his family, so he went and applied for unemployment. Well, this alerted the IRS. And the next thing you know, the family was being sued for back taxes, penalties, fines, even civil penalties and fines. So a lot of families, they're not aware, and they had a huge legal problem, and it took 2 years to resolve this and thousands of dollars. Also, this is a high-risk job. Injuries are bound to happen. If you hire on your own and you don't have workers' comp, you're responsible for medical expenses or any kind of compensation for disabilities. And also, if for some reason you don't have liability insurance and you don't use an agency, if your loved one or yourself gets hurt, you're responsible for any medical costs or any other compensations. This basically outlines the IRS federal penalties in detail. So as you can see, there's many pros and cons. You just have to realize what you need to consider when you make this decision, whether to hire privately or through an agency. I hope that you learn from these stories and you don't let this happen to yourself or your loved one, and you don't become the next victim of any kind of elder abuse. I know that in the end, it does come down to time and unfortunately money, but for your protection, an agency is the safest and wisest choice. And it'll leave you with peace of mind and no regrets.